watching Parker Success Academy with Dr. William E. Morgan.
Hello, I'm Dr. William E. Morgan, and this is Parker Success Academy, where we explore models of business success in chiropractic practices. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Josh Satterlee. Josh, welcome to Parker Success Academy.
Thank you for the invite, Dr. Morgan. It's an honor to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice?
Sure. I've been a chiropractor for, I think it's coming up on about 14 years now. And, like many people, I graduated chiropractic college and thought that I wanted to go out into the world and open my own practice. So I did that. I graduated December 14th and our practice was open January 1st. I had a business partner who was already licensed and I didn't get licensed until March. So I had to wait out those 2 months. And then we just started treating people and, going to every 5K, every race, every charity event we could to meet people and tell them all about ourselves. And it went okay. I don't think it went gangbusters. And about 5 years after that, I started really getting into rehab, and rehab led to the thought that I was sending a lot of people to personal trainers and gyms and whatnot. So I decided to blend those two models, and that's probably what brought us together here, Dr. Morgan, is that model of what I call the clinic gym hybrid model.
And you have a Facebook group that's by that name, do you not?
That's right, yeah.
So it's fascinating. I think you've spoken at Parker seminars at least once. How many times have you spoken at our seminars?
Twice, once in Vegas and once there in Dallas.
So you got to come back, and you've seen our new Parker Fit gym. It
looks incredible.
Yeah, and we've got giant screen TVs with laser projectors, a sound system. It's really, there's nothing like it on the planet. I'd love to have you come out. Yeah. And
I would love to, because I don't know if you see this, but we see more and more practices opening either in a gym or somebody rents space part-time. And so I certainly think it'd be great for the students and for practicing doctors to be right in the mix of it, of what can you do in the gym right now with your patients? Because both the research, I've listened to some of the great researchers on your stage. I'm trying to think of Dr. Christine Gertz, right? Mm-hmm. And all the research points to combine the amazing benefits of manipulation with the incredible benefits of exercise. Yeah. And one without the other is like, it's like peanut butter without chocolate. They're way better together.
Well, yeah, if you adjust them and you don't get them as part of the active part of the care, you're not giving the full benefit. And also, they're going to have to keep coming back for the adjustments more often.
Right. And as you know, you worked on a very diverse population of patients, but those who are active are always seem to get better faster. They're more responsive to your care. And, if we look at the science, we know their motor control system, their brain is pre-wired to take that increased range of motion, the increased joint abilities that you're helping create through chiropractic adjustments, and do something with them. It's sad to me that some people adjust people and then let them just sit in their car and sit at their desk for the rest of the day. I'm like, you just created amazing change, man. Ask them to do something with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and for me, it's the adjustments, and talking to Heidi Havoc and her and I don't know if you've heard my talk where I talk about the small muscles of the spine, how basically they're like these little proprioceptors that you hyperstimulate, and it activates the brain. So we're actually, in some ways, it's not above, down, inside out. It's from the outside in. But you are affecting the nervous system, even more so when you involve them in motion. So that's what's fascinating about your model of care. So before we go into your business model, what's a fun fact about you? Something maybe people don't know about.
Well, I'll give you one guess just to keep this quick, but I went to college on an athletic scholarship. What sport do you think I got money for, Dr. Morgan?
Well, everybody guesses football, I'm sure, but it's probably something like swimming.
Nope, but people guess football because I'm big. I'm 6'4" and like 285. But when you're that big and slow, not a lot of recruiters want to get your phone number. So I actually went to college on a cheerleading scholarship.
Cheerleading scholarship. Now I took care of Naval Academy football team, and what we all knew was the most dangerous positions on that field were the cheerleaders, the most likely to have a devastating injury.
Yeah, and the rate of concussion in if you look at kids below 16 years old, cheerleading, gymnastics, and equestrian are the most dangerous sports they can do for concussion, whereas all the parents are worried about football. And luckily, young boys just can't run fast enough to create a concussion in another human. So now after 16 and you get some testosterone flowing through your system from puberty, things change. But up to that point, it's an interesting little fact.
We'll see if we can get some B-roll footage of you on the field doing cheering. So if we want to look for that, where are we going to find it?
You saw me in the shorts I had to wear, Dr. Morgan, your ratings would just plummet.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to get that out of my head. Yeah. So explain to us your business model, Josh.
Yeah. So again, going back to what we just said, like you have this amazing ability as a chiropractor. I look at it as you can unlock the door. Let's start walking through that door and go to this amazing other side of what the body can do, which is exercise. And, there's a lot of ways to approach this, but as you know, in any business, the most expensive thing to do is get somebody into your office. You have to market, you have to follow up, you have to run ads or whatever you do, Facebook and Instagram, write articles for a local newspaper. But the hardest thing to do is to get that person into your office. Now, the great thing is that typically chiropractors, they get along well with their patients, and the patients seem to respond very well. And I think a great thing about chiropractic is it's not what can I do for you, it's what can I do for you right now while you're here. I mean, MRIs aren't like that, surgery is not like that. So you form this great relationship, and the person looks at you and says, I'll be back a few times. Well, at the end of that few times, let's say it's just 10, just to pick a random number. Unfortunately, a lot of chiropractors just take that amazing relationship, the success that they have, the position of authority, the great feeling that the patient has, and says, all right, well, now that we've treated you 10 times, we're just going to let you go. And they just say, go on. And maybe if you injure yourself again, remember my phone number and come back in. And in any other business, I have friends that, do internet businesses and whatnot. Their thought is, what are you doing? You're wasting all this potential. You need to do what a lot of people call an upsell, or what's the next step. So this is like, if you go to a car wash, your car's clean, then they try and upsell you on getting it waxed. I mean, this is not I don't want to make it seem like we're trying to take anything, but we're trying to take that patient to the next level. So in our model, and I'm not the only one to have this model, I've just, started the Facebook group and talked about it a lot, is now that the patient's moving great, probably the thing that they want the most is to not ever let this pain come back. And we know that the best way to do that is through the correct exercises in the correct amounts and with a little bit of guidance. And what better place to do that than in a practice, And so if you can add a small gym, nothing like Parker Fit, but if we could just carve out a corner, 500 square feet, 1,000 square feet, and you can start running some small group classes and be a very educated, very knowledgeable gym, and provide some small group and personal training options to these patients, those patients will benefit greatly. The flip side of that is, so will your business. It adds a membership type aspect to your business, which a lot of chiropractors kind of frown upon when they try and do membership models for maintenance care and whatnot. Because then there's this, go ahead.
So they come in, do you here's your membership, it's $150 a month, and you get 3 adjustments with that, or is the adjustments always extra?
Yeah, it's tough. That part of it is tough because you have to navigate, if they're on a specific insurance, you can't just be billing them regardless. But in a lot of more performance-based practices where people are doing a lot of, so if you're going after golfers or football players and they're paying cash already, then we look at those as kind of performance care, where you might get an adjustment mixed in with massage, mixed in with muscle work, mixed in with your workout. And that may all happen in about an hour to hour and a half time. I have a friend who has a very successful practice in this model down in San Diego. And as you know, San Diego is huge for triathletes. I mean, it's like the world capital of triathletes. And so most of his patients are high-level triathletes doing half Ironmans or beyond. And they come in for these workouts and then performance care at least once a week, which is kind of built on the back of their workout, or on the front, actually. So they get I don't know how to say it. We're not going for big injuries here. We're just doing fine tune-ups like you would see in a race car, right? And then they go right into their workout and make sure they can perform everything they need to do.
So working on these thoroughbreds and making them better. And people are really into this, the CrossFitters, triathletes, they are looking for that edge, and they're willing to pay cash for it.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at a person like yourself. I mean, you like to stay active. You don't like to feel pain. And if somebody could just add on 15 to 20 minutes of work before your workout, you're already going to the gym, right? You're not going to stop going to the gym. If we can do that, and not only will you feel better, because chiropractic is amazing at pain relief, but you can also do a lot for performance. You know, if you're going for say your goal that day is a pull-up record or something, you want to go for a new challenge on pull-ups. If I just check out your shoulders and your cervical spine and your thoracic spine and tune up a little bit, maybe that gets you 1 extra rep, maybe it gets you 3, or maybe you just don't wear out as fast. Either way, do you really care what it does other than help you get more pull-ups?
And there's some good research coming out, chiropractic helping vertical leap, chiropractic helping military to perform better. So other than chiropractic, what additional therapies and professions do you offer in your practice or in your practice model?
Yeah, so one of the things I think that's important as we go forward in chiropractic is we have to find ways to offload some of the workload so that we as the licensed healthcare provider are not doing everything, you know. And there's always a saying, when you own a small business, you're the chief cook and bottle washer, right? But as you want to progress forward and you're seeing that membership build up in your practice, let's say that you get to a point where you have 50 or 100 members even, which a lot of our clients do. Some things get exciting. The amount of money coming in on a membership model is exciting, but also if you think about it, how can we offload some of that work and some of that expertise to our staff? And the great news is a lot of that staff are not, they're not licensed healthcare providers. So their pay rate is a little bit lower. The need for taking notes and records is a little bit lower. And so we want to leverage those people, but at the same time, we want to allow our staff, our team, to demonstrate expertise to our clients. They came in, fell in love with the chiropractor, were amazed by how much pain relief they got and how much performance improvement they got. But let's make sure that our staff reflects this idea of expertise. And so we train the heck out of our staff. Now that staff is getting paid, say, $15 an hour, yet we're still able to make that membership off those patients.
That's a great model. So
I think so. Yeah.
Well, that's why we're here. We want to have you come in. He said, by the way, we've just started a master's degree program in strength and human performance. So our students here can concurrently get that master's degree while they're completing their chiropractic degree, and actually we extend it afterwards even as a scholarship. So this is perfect for that. We have, I think, 6 different master's degrees. So we want to make sure we equip the chiropractors to either be a straight chiropractor, somebody who goes into neurology, strength and human performance, or even masters in public health.
And I think personally, if I could go back into when I was in school, the thing that I recommend to all the students I meet, they say, what should I do getting ready for this? I say, become a personal trainer at your local gym and start working with people maybe one evening a week and on a Saturday. Because part of what makes a great chiropractor is you just have to learn to be able to talk to somebody and build that rapport. And then we all think in our rehab classes that we're going to say one line and our patient's going to do exactly what you just asked them to do. And my experience is you need to learn about 100 ways to say something just to get that person to hip hinge, for example. I mean, I can think of 50 ways to teach somebody to hip hinge. And as you know, not one of them doesn't work for everybody, but if you have enough of them, you'll find a way to communicate. Well, that communication is huge. And I don't know about you, Dr. Morgan, but had I had that ability to communicate day one or my first trimester of chiropractic college, the rest of it would have made so much more sense.
I'm glad you say that, because we have our new Parker Fit. We had you've been into our old Parker Fit that was much smaller, but I would see students come here and they spend 3 years working out, perfecting a squat, a clean and jerk, a snatch. Their eyes are so much more keen to the human body's motion, and they've already been, we hire them here to coach other students. And so they really have got that skill down, and they understand how the human body works. It actually really makes you a better chiropractor.
Oh yeah. And if you get a client that comes up to you and says, like yourself, if you just go to one of your try-3 students and say, Molly, I heard you understand the shoulder well. I want to do 3 more pull-ups than I can. My current record's 22. I want to get to 25 in a year. It sets a different tone for the education, because it's like, hey, it's great that you understand the humerus and where the muscles attach and what role the rotator cuff plays. That's fantastic. But now put it into motion, translate all that knowledge, that book knowledge, into this person standing in front of you that might have a few injuries, that might be a little bit older than the average bear, that might have had an injury long ago they totally forgot about. Whatever it is, if you think you understand a joint, I would say go into performance and get somebody to perform using that increased motion in that joint. That's when understanding occurs. And that's when the integration of knowledge occurs, because as you know, Dr. Morgan, some people think exercise is here and chiropractic's here, and it's not. It's this. And when you understand that, it just makes, not only does it make your client happy, but the perception of chiropractic in those people is so much higher than what it is when we separate those two.
I agree. And because function is really what we're about as well. So is there a book that you would recommend? Before we ask that question, what is your personal definition of success?
My personal definition of success, and I think this has changed over the years I've been practicing, but doing what I want to do, having the freedom to do what I want to do in a way that serves the people I want to serve. So I think service makes us feel fulfilled. A lot of times people say, like, I want to be happy or I want to have fun. Those are great. But I think fulfillment, like truly knowing you did something great and being great at it, that is success. And so I think that is never, personally, I don't think that's contained within you. It's serving those populations. Now, if you can match that up with a group of people that's willing to pay you a lot of money for that, I think that's a great definition of success.
Well, the reward of chiropractic, I've felt it in practice, is when I treated someone and they got better. And somebody who's been to 5 other doctors, 10 other doctors, but you're the one who helped them. That reward is so great. But I also believe that money follows value.
Absolutely.
If you give great value, the money takes care of itself.
Right. And then you have the opportunity to do those things for free. So if you're talking about CrossFit, if you're treating a population that can pay you a lot, and then some kid comes in your office and you can look in their eyes and see that he or she has the sparkle, the fire. I mean, you see it in people, and they don't have any money and they're training their butt off and they want to be great. And you can take care of them without risking your family's, meal ticket or without worrying about paying your bills. You can now dedicate your full brain to helping them. Whereas I've been in, when I was in practice a few times and you're struggling, you're worried about payroll or you're worried about paying the rent and whatnot, you can't devote your entire mental abilities to that person. So when you do have the patients that are willing to pay, you can now help those that maybe need some help.
But we actually owe it to our patients to be successful, so that we never make a decision based upon our financial needs. It's always based upon their needs. So getting to that question I asked a minute ago, what's a good book that you would recommend?
I think that one thing that definitely changed my practice is when we started systematizing things. And, that some people think, I don't want to systematize because it takes away the personal nature of things. And remember, if you go watch a great movie, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and Jennifer Aniston and all these people that we watch in movies, they're paid to read lines that are already written. They're already written. Like, there's a script for that movie. But what you're paying for is that they read them in a way that's inspiring, or it's sad, or it's it brings up joy in you. Whatever it is, they're paid to read lines people have already written. So when we systematize our offices and we build checklists and protocols and whatnot, it's not to decrease the amount of human interaction we can have or that feeling of that great human connection. It's to increase that, because we're not worrying about exactly what to say. Along those lines, there's a great book called The Checklist Manifesto. And all it is basically just this man's story of creating checklists so we don't forget things. Because if I had a CrossFitter coming in, I would, and I'm worried about my sick kid at home, and it's late in the day and I've seen 40 other people that day, and all these human factors invade, and I forget to evaluate their shoulder. I just passes over my mind. Now, what kind of a doctor am I going to appear to those CrossFitters in my area? So if you can just create those checklists so you never forget those things, I think that will help you be so much more successful.
Very good. Thank you. So what's your worst moment in chiropractic practice or in your career?
Oh, this is, I've told this story 1,000 times. This is before I really discovered a systematic way. So before I systematized my exam and my diagnosis system. So I was in this leadership program when I first moved to Las Vegas called Leadership Las Vegas. About 40 people were in it. And let's see. So this is about a year after I finished that program. There was this woman, we'll just call her Micah for now. Like, she was an amazing woman, very successful in town. And she called me on November 1st. And she said, hey, now the night before November 1st is Halloween, right? She said, hey, my neck is killing me. I dressed up as a showgirl last night and I woke up, I can't move my neck, right? And, you know, like the showgirls have those headpieces, like all the feathers and whatnot. They look like peacocks walking around. So I said, hey, this is great. I'm in Vegas. You were dressed up as a showgirl. Your neck hurts. I'm a chiropractor. This is like a match made in heaven, right? She comes in, and I would tell you now, looking back, I was guessing at the diagnosis. And I said, oh, this is soft tissue. You know, I just need to do a few things and adjust her. I did that. And she stood up, and her range of motion, which was bad to start with, had gotten worse. And her pain levels had gone up. And I was like, not knowing what to do next, I was like, all right, well, lay back down. Let me just work on the, I don't know if you've ever done this, Dr. Morgan, the deep structures, which is an excuse for, I don't know what I'm doing, right? So I start digging in hard to her soft tissues and going after longus coli and all these very uncomfortable muscles. And I adjust other segments in different directions. And she stands up, and now for some reason there's water leaking out of her eye. And I said, how's your neck? And she said, it's okay. And I looked at her when she said, it's okay. That was her saying, I don't want to tell you that it hurts even worse. You're too good of a friend for me to tell you that you're doing a horrible job with me right now. And so I ended up sending her away with an ice pack and told her to take Advil. And at that moment, I can picture, so we had these green frame doors in our office, and I can picture what she looked like walking out of the green frame door. And I just thought, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I can't, this is my good friend, fairly simple case. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. What am I even doing? And luckily that led me to figuring out diagnosis. That led me to the SFMA, which I know that, you and Greg Rose have spoken about many times. And thank God it did. But that moment when she walked out of my office, I felt about that big. I mean, I felt like I wasn't serving the world at all.
So
yes. That's a great sound for it. Ugh.
I think most people in practice, you get those people that you kind of wish you'd never adjusted or accepted.
Yeah.
So what was a pivotal moment in your journey? Sounds like that might have been one.
That's when I decided that I needed to start looking deeper. You ever seen that movie City Slickers, and they ask, what's the worst day of your life? And he explains, he says, what's the best day? And he said, same day. That moment, that feeling was so emotionally motivating for me that's when I decided to start looking for a solution to the diagnostic side. I had gone to a bunch of seminars about the treatment side of things, but I was really looking at the diagnostic side and realizing maybe I'm just aiming at the wrong target, and therefore I can hit that target great, but it's the wrong one. And that went down that path, and that's why I teach for the SFMA now, because emotionally it cured me. Emotionally, it made me feel so much better about what I can do for people when I built in that checklist, when I didn't miss anything, and when I understood what was going on. And by the way, the great news about that for everybody watching this, when you're accurate about diagnosis, man, does it make your treatments look so much more powerful. I mean, if you can get to the point where you're just hitting that red bullseye, and all that somebody needs is a C5 left rotation adjustment, and you do it, you look like you're the hands of Jesus. I mean, people are just like, oh my gosh, everything improved.
The right adjustment at the right segment is so good. The wrong adjustment at the wrong segment, the wrong direction is so bad. So
it is.
You're
I
right.
mean, it tells you how powerful adjustments are.
Oh yeah, it's equal
in the negative way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's anything that has a power for good has the equal power for bad.
Right.
There's a risk to this too. We have to be masters of the craft.
Right.
So what advice would you give a younger version of yourself as you graduate from college?
Meet Dr. Morgan earlier in my life. That will improve things. But in all seriousness, if I were going back, I'll go back in stages. If I was going back to my first year of chiropractic college, I would say, like we said, become a personal trainer, start working with people day one. You just have to have that personal interaction around movement to understand the profession you're going into. I really think that's powerful. if I were to go back into college, I think participate in more studies. I was lucky enough to participate in this biomechanical study my last year of school around the double axle in figure skating, female figure skating. I should have done that my junior year because it gave me an appreciation for measuring force and whatnot. If I were to go back to my high school self, I would say, I can remember life changing when I learned how to speak publicly, and I was scared to speak out at all in high school. I was super quiet, and I think learned how to public speak then and would have opened up the world. So it depends on the stage, If I go back to my 8-year-old self, I'd say run downhill and as fast as you possibly can because you got a chance at a scholarship 10 years from now. But the speed you're going now ain't helping anybody.
So chiropractic marketing and advertising to patients has been a big topic. What tips would you give based on your practice?
Yeah, I think that the centerpiece of marketing and advertising is deciding who you want to serve and being okay to say that somebody doesn't fit that. So, a lot of times in my consulting work, people say, I'll say, who's your perfect client? And they'll say, anybody that comes in. And I'm like, that's not the answer. So I'll just give you my example. We analyzed our patient base and said, who makes their appointments, doesn't mess with our schedule at all, loves our care, and can pay money to be seen or has insurance that pays us well. Because, those three are kind of the trifecta. Now, I've had plenty of patients that either meet one or two, but not all three. But when we looked at that, we found out after a while, we were treating golfers, triathletes, CrossFitters, MMA athletes, and all this. And by far, the golfers met that criteria. And so we said, let's focus all our energy in golf. And I love golf. My dad played golf. My grandfather was professional. So we went after golf. Well, about a year after that, we realized, okay, well, within that golf world, it's country club golfers. That's really who can make all our appointments, has very good insurance or pays cash, and appreciates the work we do. And then about a year later, we realized, you know what? Within that group of a few hundred patients, by far the best group is female country club golfers who play at least one round per week. Because those people, they could schedule any time of the day. You know how like your early and your afternoon are typically busy, but that 10:30 might be a little bit open, or 2:00 when people are picking up kids from school and whatnot, they would fill up those spots. They would sign up for anything we offered. They loved our gym, and then they would do extra things like they'd pay for care. Hey, can I pay for 10 of these up front? Yeah, I mean, we love cash flow. Like you can pay for everything you want up front. And then they'd bring the staff like Starbucks randomly and whatnot. And they're just everything you want. And you could serve them so well because we were very focused. So anyways, all that is to say that we realized that female country club golfers that played at least one round a week were the core market we wanted to go to. And if you know that, marketing becomes easy. Because are you going to use TikTok on these people? Are you going to, do presentations about how to hit the golf ball further? Or we did workshops, and they would love to do workshops because nobody was talking to female golfers.
What I hear is whatever your practice is, you should have an avatar that you make that avatar out, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be female country club golfers, but whatever you're after, have something that you could almost take a picture of them, that everybody knows this is who we're after. So we at Parker frequently talk about the 10X concept.
Yeah.
What is something that you did in your business that had a 10X return on its effect?
That's a great question. And I would say I calculated this one time and it was closer to 25X. So I hope that makes your criteria.
Oh, yeah.
But it was deciding that the lowest ranking member of our staff would be the lowest ranking personal trainer we had was going to be the best personal trainer in our area. So our worst would be the best in our area. And so we got really serious and innovative about training. So it wasn't just because I think that this happened to me. My ego got in the way of my business decisions or my operation. And I thought, what I want is that I can solve all the problems. When people can't train somebody, I solve them and I can figure it out. And that was a horrible way to look at it. What I wanted instead were people that were as good as they could be at what we did. Even if they didn't have a chiropractic license, I didn't want them adjusting or diagnosing people, but I wanted them to do everything they could until they're bumping up against diagnosis and adjusting as the only thing. And that they could come get me and walk me out there and go, I looked at Bill here, and his right hip is lacking about 10 degrees of internal rotation. Can you just do a quick adjustment as we're walking up to that person? And in a perfect world, I'd be able to grab a hold of your hip, do an adjustment for internal rotation, and they were right. And now you're better, they're better. And I took 5 seconds to do that, right? But I would say it wasn't just training. Like people say, oh, I train my staff. No, you got to get aggressive about it. You got to get creative about it. You got to get innovative, and you got to let them participate. They need to drive the ship as well, because they're going to tell you what they're actually seeing for us on the gym floor.
Before we leave, could you leave just one takeaway, but also give us the contact information for anybody who might want to contact you after this episode?
Yeah. So Clinic Gym Hybrid is the website. So clinicgymhybrid.com. And if you go on Facebook and look for the Clinic Gym Hybrid discussion group, you'll find us. And that group has great postings every day. Today, somebody posted all about video walkthroughs. So you can see they're probably inspired by your video walkthrough of Parker Fit, and now they're want to see these blended offices, because I think that that's a large part of the future of chiropractic.
So we'd like to thank Dr. Josh Satterlee for joining us today at Parker Success Academy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching another episode of Parker Success Academy with Dr. William E. Morgan.